What up, what up, what up, what up? What's good, people? What is up? What is up? They went from the fourth level of hell and sent us down to the seventh level of hell. Why? Because then you got Kwanzaa pulling out her titties. The whore pulled out her titties. And these whore bags over here started feeling and fondling on her tits. What?
I don't have it to do with you. Girl, you can go over there, rant and rave. Girl, you can shake all your rainbow bright hair all you want, dear one. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I'm not doing this with you, dear one. I don't have nothing to do with you, and I'm done. Baby, you can scream my name from the rooftops from now till Jesus come back. I'm done after this.
Introduced to Tick's meat. Do you see what I see? Did y'all really hello, casting, wardrobe, y'all let him roll up out of wardrobe with these fans on, giving us all of this, thinking we were not going to see it? We have been waiting with bated breath and anticipating all season long for the slightest glimpse, and y'all just put it out there this episode in all of its magnificent glory.
Listen, that young man said, baby, you ate on this first date, you giving up the cooch on the first date, okay? Well, you gonna run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's our new theme song. That is the new song. Listen, somebody need to put a beat to that. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. Run me my cooch or run me my coins. That's what y'all got going on.
Called out Sandcastle. Sand, bitch. Ow. Oh my God, it was so funny, girl. Woo, baby, listen, let me tell you something. This shit started to turn into the precursor for some gay porn. That's what I thought it was. Because Big T is getting all, the voice starting to go deeper and get a little more wet and moist and sentimental and all this shit. And it was real gay at this point. Like, I thought the bitches was going to start. I thought Lil Bird was going to turn Big T around and do him like he did Uncle Cliff and do the grease it up with City Lou and ran right in there. It's not a coincidence that Big T started off the conversation by trying to find out if Lil Bird was fucking Mercedes, which he found out he's not. It's also not a coincidence that he would start talking about prison. Why? Because the bitches was probably fucking in prison. Girl. Uncle Clifford, you better go get your man. Big T got plans for that. What he had on looked like something Big Bird vomited up or something like that. Like, I did not like it. That Big Bird couture he was going for, it did not work. Like the pastor of a gay mega church on Easter Sunday. Okay, it was way too much sequins. He had on way too much makeup. Baby, his face looked like Iyanla Vanzant's neckline. Okay, just way too much makeup clumped in everywhere on his face. Get it together, sweetheart. Like, you're a big girl, so that gives you a whole lot of canvas. So that was a whole lot of makeup, honey. And Rico looked like he was auditioning to be one of the three kings, or he was auditioning to be the main character on Jesus Christ Superstar. Girl, Wayne, did you have on a blue thong or a blue G-string or something? If you did, I want to see it. If you up in my DMs, I do want to see if you have a blue thong or a blue, jock strap or something like that. I'd love to see it. Anyway, but I liked it with the turtleneck. Now, Troy.
Hey. What is going on, people? It's election night. You knew that I would be live on election night. It's election night, people. We're here. We're going to break some stuff down. We're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to take questions and everything. As a matter of fact, let me do this. What I do want to do is I want to put the link in the chat just in case anybody wants to come up, just talk about some of their election experiences. Listen. So if you want to come up, talk about some of your experiences today, just vent, rant, rave, whatever, go ahead and let me know. Hey, Trisha P. Hey, Tracy, Morgan, Danny, what's good, girl? What's going on? Hey, L Love. Hey, Romel. L Love. Hey, it's me, D. Fran J. Well, Steve. Steve, this is Moneymaker tonight. Today, tomorrow, into Thursday, Steve is gonna earn his paycheck. He ain't gonna sleep for the next 48 to 72 hours. Hey, Sauce on the side. What's good, everybody? It is election day. I hope everybody here voted. I hope you told everybody you knew to vote. And now we have some things that are coming in. I'm going to try to start off with, hey, Sean Kinsey, I'm going to start off with some bad news, and then there's a lot more good news than there is bad news. So my first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to spend some time in this beginning. Hey, they do look new, Vobal. What's good, Vobal? The pants look a little bit darker. Hey, L Love. Hey, Boo. Don't Steve Kornacki look at Steve Kornacki's pants. Now that tie and that shirt is the same, but those pants look a little bit darker. Do they look a little bit darker? He always have on the khaki pants, but those pants look a little bit darker than normal. You know, what's good, Sean Kinsey? Glad you came to join us. What's good, Fi? So, so let me first break down a couple things. Let's talk about Florida because that's probably what's going to madden me the most, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll get to some other stuff because more. There's a lot more good news than there is bad news. Okay, so yes. Um, you hope I got some palate quizzes. I didn't even know I was gonna need some palate quizzes. Trust me, Fran J is not as grim and dim, gloom and doom as we thought. My baby and I voted, took my 10-year-old son with me also. Great Fran J. As a little boy, my grandmother used to always take me with her when she would go vote, and we would actually go into the voting booth with her to watch that process. So I've always been around voting. Baby, I watch MSNBC. Who did Jay's hair? I'm truly a child. I'm not doing this with you. All right. So let me break down Florida, okay? Because you know my phone has been ringing off the hook. I've been on phone calls, conference calls, group chats, email chains, and everything about Florida. You know my connections with Florida. I'm born and raised Florida. I still vote in Florida because I have residents there. So I do vote in Florida, Miami-Dade County. Um, I am a part of the Miami-Dade Democrats as well as the Florida Democratic Caucus. So I do have a lot of connections there. We do know that Ron DeSantis governor death sentence is projected to have won Florida overwhelmingly. It wasn't really close. It was he won pretty impressively, even in areas that traditionally go blue, they went red. We'll get to that in just a second. Marco Rubio has also won that Senate seat against Val Deming. So Ron DeSantis, governor death sentence, he did beat Charlie Christie, who's a former governor. And then we had Val Demings, who lost to Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio won that seat. Now, there's a perfect storm combination that's happening in Florida. Okay. Um, because the reason I'm starting off with Florida is our grim dark spot. But when we look at a lot of the rest of the projections and a lot of the rest of the country, excuse me, there are actually a lot of good spots. So I want to get Florida out of the way. I want to break that down a little bit for you and show you how Florida was really a cautionary tale for the Dems and how they didn't do the right thing. And there are so many cases where the Dems didn't do right um, by their candidates, but the candidates in a lot of areas are still outperforming what the projections were, even though the Dems dropped the ball on a lot of shit and it looked like they were trying to lose. So let me start with the Florida breakdown. The um the first breakdown I have about Florida is this. The reason that you cannot look at Florida as if that's going to be the trend is because if you remember, we covered here on this channel, and I'm listening in one ear, I'm listening to live coverage on about 3 channels. So I'm talking to you all, and I feel like the people who are on TV who have the little TV monitor in the ear. And so I have my earphone in this ear while I'm listening, literally listening to 3 different channels and listen to their breakdown. One channel is up real high, then the next one is a little lower, and then the next one is a little lower. Hey, little baby, I'm glad you're here. So I'm trying to do all of that. So if you see me pause or stop or I seem a little, off, it's because I'm doing heavy lifting for y'all today. I'm over here like Steve Kornacki over here. I don't have a big board behind me. I wish I had like a big board where I could do like projections and move, but I don't have a big board. But we're here for you. So we're gonna break all of this down as only we can. Don't go nowhere else. This is where you get real breakdown. This is where you have real sound, real political commentary here. So let's break down Florida real fast and we'll be done with Florida and we can get to the good stuff, okay? So right, I'm listening to all things at once, Tracy. So here's what's going on. If you recall, Lil Baby is this was by design. If y'all recall a couple months ago, what did I tell y'all happened in Florida? The Florida's Republican legislature put out a new redistrict map. Governor Ron DeSantis told them, fuck you, fuck your life. That map ain't red enough for me. And even though the Republican led legislature thought that his map was way too egregious and was way too red, they allowed the governor to have his say. He put it because he told them, hey, y'all don't put my map here. I'm not going to sign off on it. So y'all decide what y'all going to do. And so they allowed his map to skate through. And you have a lot of areas that were core Democratic areas where they carved the maps of those Democratic areas so that they would take chunks of the Democratic votes and put those chunks into predominantly red areas, so it will wash out that blue vote and will wash out a completely blue district. Case in point, Al Lawson, who is a long-standing Democrat member of the House of Representatives, been in for about 20 plus years. He lost his seat tonight because the way they gerrymandered the districts, he went to a mainly Republican area and he lost that seat. So in and around the Tallahassee area, they did that. In and around the Tampa, St. Petersburg area, which is the Hillsborough, Pinellas County area, that's over on the west side of the Panhandle. Even over in the Jacksonville, Duval County area, they did a lot of gerrymandering. So if you look at the map, Democrats lost the Tampa area due to the redistricting. Democrats lost, they didn't lose all of the Tallahassee area, but they lost a good part of the Tallahassee area. They lost a good part of the Duval County area. And also even in what is normally very Democratic, they did the same thing in Palm Beach County. They knew they had a chance in Palm Beach County with Mar-a-Lago being in Palm Beach County, with you having a lot of rich, wealthy, well-to-do Republicans that live in Palm Beach County that want no parts of Democrats that want to tax the rich. So they knew they could carve that out and make waves as well. So now, the other part, and I told you all this last week, go back and listen to my Politics of It All last week. I told you all, they did absolutely, they carved out parts in Orange County and other parts in the middle of Orlando area, in and around Orlando, especially down in what is that, Winter Haven area, Kissimmee area, places like Ocoee, Osceola counties. So they really, Ron DeSantis and his people really carved up Florida to make Florida much more red. Even in his acceptance speech tonight, he spoke to the fact that it was his map that was successful in getting the votes. And Marco Rubio won by a significant amount. It was not close. I told you all last week that Marco Rubio would carry Miami-Dade County. I told you he would carry Miami-Dade County. And remember, Miami-Dade County is the largest county in the entire state. It has more votes than any other county in the whole state. Normally, Miami-Dade County is blue, 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 blue. But when you have Marco Rubio, who's from Miami-Dade County, who's also Cuban, he could carry the entirety of the Cuban vote. Cubans make up about 67, 68% of the vote in Miami-Dade County. Almost 70% of the vote in Miami-Dade County is Hispanic. And of that Hispanic Latino vote, about 55, between 55 to 58, depending on the year, is Cuban. So, and the Cubans are very much so Republican. Um, so Marco Rubio carried, and once he carried Miami-Dade County by a very significant number, at that point you knew it was going to be a bloodbath. There was nothing. There was no conceivable way of Val Demings winning. Also, Broward County, which is the bluest state in Florida, the most Democratic state, not state, county, I should say, in Florida is Broward County, even more Democratic than Miami-Dade. And Broward County did go blue, but not as blue as it usually does. They didn't win it even by as much as Biden did. So it was going to be a bloodbath in Florida. That, coupled with the fact that um, the Democratic National Committee spent less than $1 million in the state of Florida. Let me say that again. The DNC spent less than $1 million in a huge state like the state of Florida. We're talking about they spent little over $700,000. It's less than $800,000 that was spent in the state of Florida, a state that can go blue. It absolutely can go blue. But there, once again, the Democratic National Committee decided that they didn't want to. They decided that they weren't going to put any money into it. That coupled with the fact that, and I always said, the fact that they didn't have a strong gubernatorial candidate means that there wasn't going to be a strong showing for Val Demings. So Charlie Crist was a Republican. I keep telling y'all that Charlie Crist was a Republican. He was the Republican governor of Florida when he lost after the Tea Party incident. And when he lost and all of that stuff, he switched parties and became Democrat. He's really not a Democrat. He's a Republican masking himself as a Democrat because he can't win in the Republican Party. So that's what happened in Florida. Florida is an outlier. And I wanted to break that down. So you had a bad, poor candidate in Charlie Crist, the gubernatorial candidate. You have the Democratic Party basically just turning their back on Florida, neglecting Florida, and just chopping it up to the game. You had a gerrymandered redistricting of Florida that was more atrocious than what you had in North Carolina or with, I'm sorry, South Carolina a few years back. All and the DNC not spending any money in Florida, it was destined to be that way. It was a perfect storm. So Florida has gone completely red. You at this point it's not even purple. It's going to be a long time for you even have an opportunity because the way the districts have been gerrymandered now, it's going to be quite some time before you can get Florida to be purple again. That's Florida. That's what we're gonna do in Florida. That's what we're gonna talk about. Let's get another bit of bad news out. Governor Hot Wheels has won his re-election bid as well. So Beto O'Rourke lost in Texas. Governor Hot Wheels will be rolling up the wheelchair ramps up there in Austin, Texas, in the capital of Texas. So Texas will still be governed by Governor Hot Wheels. Florida will still be governed by Governor Death Sentence. And we'll get those are the two cogs, as we call it. You know, there's the holy trinity of racism, bigotry, and discrimination in these yet to be United States of America. Two of those pins will be keeping their racist ass governors. Okay, Beto O'Rourke lost. Okay, so that's the bad news. We do have a lot of news that is looking really, really. We remember we talked about a whole bloodbath. We talked about the Dems getting their asses handed to them tonight. These candidates are holding their own. The first seat I want to talk about that's still projected as too close to call is North Carolina. Cherry Beasley is in North Carolina holding her own. She's still down a few points, but she still has a lot of votes to be counted in some very Democratic leaning counties. Cities like Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. There's still a lot of votes in some of these very Democratic areas. And remember, she won that state. Their Supreme Court justice, she was the Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, and she won in a state like North Carolina, which is very Republican. So she has a very good chance of winning. And Greensboro, thank you, Danny. There's still a lot of votes out in Greensboro. One other thing that so Cherry Beasley is holding her own. The other thing that I'm going to say that is promising for tonight is the young vote. Even though the Democratic Party did not do right by the young vote, young people have gone out in droves and voted in a lot of key states. They didn't vote in Florida, but Florida is our outlier. We're not going to use Florida as our litmus test for anything. But in a lot of key states, North Carolina is a state that's happening in. In Wisconsin, with my frat brother Mandela Barnes, a good Kappa man. He's in Wisconsin holding his own. They say that the young vote in Wisconsin is up over 300% from where it was in 2018. So Mandela Barnes is holding his own, still has a chance out there. And now here's the thing about Wisconsin. The problem that I'm having and what I'm seeing in Wisconsin, Tim Evers, I think is pronounced, who's the incumbent governor who's running, white male, is winning right now, but he's about 4 or 5 points depending on the poll you look at. Not the poll, but depending on the results you look at, because they come in different websites or different areas have it come in at different times. He is about 4 to 5 points ahead of Mandela Barnes in these areas. And that has everything to do with race. Mandela Barnes is a black man running in Wisconsin. And you know, Ron Johnson and the Republican Party, their whole thing with them running against Mandela Barnes was crime rates, crime rates. And they were attributing the fact that Mandela Barnes is a black man, that would help them win, because if they say, oh, crime is so bad, you don't want a black man running our in you're not running our states, but elected to office in our state if crime is a problem. And they were trying to attach crime to Mandela Barnes. They were doing all types of racist ads. It was black. It was really bad. And in Wisconsin. But Mandela Barnes is still up there holding his own. He still has a lot of votes to come in some very Democratic areas. So we're looking forward to that. States that they just, from what I'm hearing in my ear, they just called the Senate seat in Ohio. They just called that Senate seat for J.D. Vance. He's going to end up beating Tim Ryan. That was another seat that could have been flipped from Republican to Democrat, but the DNC didn't put enough money into that seat. J.D. Vance was the Trump-backed Republican. Tim Ryan was the Democrat, and the DNC put virtually no money because they chopped it up to, we can't win Ohio. Ohio's going to go red, and it was very winnable. It was very winnable. Hey, Harold, what's going on? Hey, Carissa. So, we talked about in the state of Ohio how just yesterday, less than 24 hours before the polls opened, that they were changing precincts in and around the Cleveland area, which is a highly Democratic area. So, so that's one bad news. Right now, from what I'm seeing, Herschel Walker is in the lead, but there is still some very blue areas that we still are looking for votes from. Uh, one of those areas is we're still looking for votes out of Decatur. Okay, we're still looking for a little bit out of DeKalb. So we still, and we know those are very blue areas. Um, So, but I figure once those areas come in, Warnock will win the night, but will not win overall. I don't know that he'll have enough votes to go over 50%. And so there'll be another runoff. However, Stacey Abrams, they haven't called it yet, but Brian Kemp is in all of the numbers that I'm seeing, Brian Kemp is beating her quite handily. Um, yeah, I just said that, Danny. They called JD Vance to win Ohio. Yeah, he's projected to win. But Brian Kemp, it at this point, it's going to be next to impossible for Stacey Abrams. Now, on this platform, we talked about a month or so ago, like end of September, we talked about the fact that in the great state of Georgia, where Stacey Abrams was running against Brian Kemp, that there was not a lot of campaign ads. It was just not a lot of, there wasn't a lot of campaign ads. There wasn't a lot of talk, enough talk about Stacey Abrams, which leads me to wonder, was there enough money put into the Stacey Abrams campaign like there should have been? There was a lot of focus on the Warnock Walker race, not a lot on the Abrams race. And that's unfortunate. I know they had Oprah that did the whole thing and she endorsed Abrams at the last minute and so forth, but it was very last minute. Even uh Obama came to Georgia, but that was all about Warnock. That really was not about Abrams, which is unfortunate. So it looks like Abrams won't get that seat. Good news though, Wes Moore won the governor's race in Maryland and will be the third ever African American governor in these yet to be United States. He's only the third African American, he's only the third Black person to ever be governor of any state in these yet to be United States of America. And he's already projected to win Maryland. So that's great. That's good news. That's looking good. In the Pennsylvania race with Dr. Oz versus Fetterman. Fetterman is in the lead. It's looking good for Fetterman, but it's still too close to call. And so we'll wait that out. The other thing about it, I did see that John Kennedy did beat Gary Chambers. But if you recall, the Louisiana Democrats didn't do right by Gary Chambers to begin with. Instead of allowing Gary Chambers won the primary, and instead of declaring Gary Chambers the the sole Democratic nominee, they decided to split it and make it where all of the Democratic seats, I'm sorry, all of the primary candidates would be able to run in the general election. Like and they decided that after Gary Chambers had won the primary. It was a mess. Yeah, so the Democrats shot themselves in the foot with that. That was a mess. But back to Fetterman and Oz. It's looking really good for Fetterman. They've already projected the governor to win. Um, the Pennsylvania governor's race, they've already projected him to win. So that's a good projection for Fetterman because not everybody, but a lot of people they vote straight down the ballot. So if you're blue, you're voting straight down the ballot. Um, so that's a good race. Here's an interesting one. Here's a good interesting one. Y'all's girl, Lauren Boebert, is currently losing, and they got about 75% of the vote in. Lauren Boebert is losing to Adam Frisch in in the great state of what is that, Colorado she's in? Yeah, I think she's in Colorado. We would love, we would love for Lauren Boebert to lose. We'd love that would be a pickup for the Dems. That would be a good pickup for the Dems. Um, I'm really looking at this Patty Murray seat out in um, over there. What is that? Washington, because remember she's the number two Dem in the Senate, and her race was way closer than they thought it was going to be. I still think she'll pull it out, but her race was way closer than they thought it would be. Hey, Miss Cruiser. Yeah, Josh Shapiro, they've already projected him to win Pennsylvania, which is a good look for Fetterman, but we still got to see. Um, but right now, I'm looking at listening to some numbers. Herschel Walker is up about a point and a half, almost a point and a half over Raphael Warnock, about 1.3 points. So yeah, Fetterman is still up in Pennsylvania. Cherry Beasley is down about a point, but it's still too early to call. There's still a lot of votes to come in. Mark Kelly, who is the Democratic incumbent in Arizona, he is projected to win. Well, they're saying it's too early to call, but I'm calling it. I'm projecting him to take that seat. Um, Kerry, I'm really wanting to see what these early numbers look like between over there in Nevada with Kerry Lakes and the Democrat Hobbs. I think it's Ann Hobbs over in Arizona. I'm really curious to see what those numbers look like because Republicans are touting Nevada that they're going to take Nevada and Nevada's just going to go red, 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 red. We're going to see what that is. Can you break them down for me? Did Abrams not have enough support in Georgia? How is it that Warnock is putting up a fight and Abrams lost by a decent margin? Here's the problem in Georgia. Here's a little bit of breakdown for you in Georgia. And touched on this a little bit. And they just called Georgia for Brian Kemp. I just heard it in my ear. They've called the Georgia gubernatorial election to Brian Kemp. Here's the issue. Being here in the state of Georgia, all of the political ads you saw were Warnock and Walker. Warnock, Walker. Warnock, Walker. Very little, very little Stacey Abrams. And I spoke to this back at the end of September. I kept saying, why don't we see enough Stacey Abrams political campaign ads? Like there just wasn't even the printed ads, like billboards and things like that. And I travel by car a lot of times when I'm going out of town through Georgia. You see Kemp, even in the blue parts of Georgia, you weren't seeing as much, if any, Stacey Abrams ads. I don't her personal her own personal campaign. I wonder how much money was put into her own personal campaign first. But we know that the Democratic Party, their monies that they put into the state of Georgia was all earmarked. I'm not going to say all, but majority earmarked for uh, Abrams. I'm not Abrams for Warnock, and that was a decision that the Democratic Party of Georgia made in addition with the DNC. Marjorie Taylor Greene is already projected to win. They've already projected Marjorie Taylor Greene to win her seat against Marcus Flowers. Um, yeah, they have. I saw that one. They have already projected Marjorie Taylor Greene to win that seat against Marcus Flowers. Um, let me look at my board. Um, we are, like I said, it's not looking bad at all for um my good frat brother Mandela Barnes in Wisconsin. We're waiting on that to see how that pans out because there's still a lot of votes out there. He still can take Ron Johnson. Wisconsin needs just to take it. That makes complete sense. Thank you. We saw a little to no Ava. Right, there was very little. So you have that coupled with, and I'm just gonna call it out. We're here now. We're just gonna call it out. Stacey Abrams, a woman, and for a lot of those independent voters, even if the independent voter is voting for women's rights to choose, they may not vote for a woman to be in power. We saw the same thing when Hillary Clinton ran for president. As much as women say they're here for women empowerment, a lot of women, especially white women on both sides of the aisle, do not vote for women in positions of power. Positions of power, I mean primary top level positions, governor, president. It's not. They just don't. They vote against their own best interests. White women, especially, historically, vote against their own best interests. They would rather vote for a man who would strip their rights away than they would vote for a woman who would be there to hold them down and do right by them. That, and it ain't just white women, even a lot of black women feel that way. I'm just being brutally honest. That coupled with the fact that the Dems just were they were putting money in areas where they just shouldn't have. I can say I saw for those people in New York, Letitia James has won her seat um, as Attorney General, which is important because we need her to take Donald Trump to court. We need her to, take him to court. I'm super proud of you. Right. Thank you for saying that, Carissa. Young voters have gone and let their votes be heard in a lot of states. In a lot of states, young voters said we will not be denied. In a lot of key states, we're not going to have anything tonight. I don't think we're going to have any. Arizona and Nevada, those two states tonight. Yes, Kathy Hochul did win New York, but in Nevada, Arizona, um, there I don't think we're going to have anything out of there earlier than Thursday or Friday, and that would be very early. Um, Mandela. Now, I will say this, L Love. What's happening with Mandela Barnes is Black people in Wisconsin are very galvanized behind him. They are as excited about Mandela Barnes as they were for Obama, which is good. So, but Ron Johnson is running real strong in those rural areas. The rural people love him. Um, yeah, Carrie Lake over in Arizona. We've been talking about Carrie Lake. She is not wrapped tightly. Carrie Lake, and she's running against why I keep forgetting this lady name, Ann Hobbs, I believe her name is. I know her last name is Hobbs. I think her first name is Ann or Annie. But that race is going to be very tight. Very tight. Carrie Lake has already said if she loses, she will not accept it. She will not accept a loss. Um, so y'all feel free. Thank you. Feel good. Y'all feel free to ask your questions. Tracy, can you drop the link one more time? If you would like to come up and ask me a question, you can. Um, you don't have to come on screen. You can, stay off screen. Keep your camera on with the avatar. Mm, House Republicans. He'll have own idea and seem to have won. Yes. Mm, okay. DFL House Reps. Okay. So, um, let me look at some. Let me pull up my big board. Big board. Um, so let me give you. I'm sorry, y'all. I told you I'm listening to three things in my ear. I'm listening to three things in my ear at one time and trying to talk to y'all at the same time. Oh boy. Um, Thank you, Feel Good. I'm here for y'all. Now listen. Do I think, thank you so much, Feel Good. Do I think that the House will flip? I think the Republicans will eke it out. I don't think it'll be a drubbing like they thought. It's not going to be a bloodbath in the House. It's still a toss up, but I think the Republicans will eke it out. Okay. Yeah, y'all give a Shondo in the chat to Feel Good, who said he just subscribed. Shondo to you, Feel Good. Um, I think the Republicans will eke it out, which means Mike McCarthy will become the new Speaker of the House, which is a very scary thought. I believe when the dust settles, the Dems will keep the Senate. I really feel, I don't know if they'll go over 50. I think it'll stay 50. That's my projections. But it's still early. There's still a lot of time. But there are a couple seats that the Dems needed to flip. Florida, I wasn't really sold on Florida flipping. I really was looking at that Ohio seat, and they did. If the Dems can pull off Cherry Beasley, that would be great. If Cherry Beasley can get that, that would be great. Or if Mandela Barnes can pull that off, that'll be great as well. So those are two seats that are red that can, if they flip blue, that would help cushion whatever happens in Georgia. It looks like Arizona with Kelly is going to end up going staying blue. Um, there are a couple states in the Northeast where let me see. Let me look at my map. There were a couple states in the Northeast where the Republicans were banking on winning, and it just didn't happen for them. It looks like the Northeast corridor is going to remain blue, which is good because those were seats where the Republicans were projecting that they were going to pick off a few people. And so if they can and it looks like they're going to stay blue. DFL. Oh yeah, but I figured Keith Ellison would keep that seat. I wasn't really worried worried about him. Remember, Keith Ellison was a member of Congress. Keith um he's a member of Congress. He's very well liked. So I wasn't too worried about him. There were some seats up there in that Northeast corridor that we were worried about. Those seats seem to be we're not doing bad in those seats. We got to make sure Patty Murray out there in Washington keeps her seat. Um, so I'm sorry, I'm listening to five things at one time in my ear. So so the Senate is like I said, I feel like the um the um the house is gonna flip. I'm that, but the fact that the house is not flipping by a whole lot of I mean a whole lot of seats is good because we know that traditionally in a midterm election it swings far to the other side. So that's good. Now, um, right now, the I'm listening to one thing. I'm sorry, I was listening to something. Um, right now, Lauren Boebert is still losing right now. Lauren Boebert is still losing right now. Carrie Lake is losing right now, but there's still a lot of votes to come in. Um, so um well, they're called at this point. They have called North Carolina for Ted Budd. Are now saying that Cherry Beasley has lost to um, to Ted Budd in North Carolina. Um, Also, another interesting result. Well, not interesting. We knew it was going to happen, but just as a side note, Quasimodo is back in office. Who am I talking about? Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Urgh. Quasimodo. She has won the governor's mansion in Arkansas. She's now the governor. She'll be the governor of Arkansas. We know her father, Mike Huckabee, was the governor of Arkansas. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who we call Quasimodo, is is yeah. So I'm sorry about that. So here's what we're looking at. Like I said, because if y'all look at Sarah Huckabee Sanders, one of her eyes goes over here, one of her eyes goes over there, and then she always wears those pearls. She just looks the way I used to drag Sarah Huckabee Sanders back when Trump was in office. Baby, I used to drag that woman like nobody's business. Anyway, I see somebody backstage, but hold on, let me put up can never be too safe. Let me put up wait, I need a bigger one. Let me put up that. All right. I have a guest. Let me add. Oh, well, guest is you got to turn on your mic. I can't. It won't even. Your mic is not on, so I can't even. It won't even let me add your Phil. I know you're backstage, but it won't even let me add you to the StreamYard. You have to at least turn your mic or give the StreamYard access to your mic. So I maybe go out and come back in, and it might work, but you need to get your mic set up because I know your camera's not set up, but you got to do one of the two. Um, so, um, all right. So Ted Budd has won South Carolina. Let me say this. Oh, I could take that down. Okay, so they just called the Senate seat in Oregon, and so um, it looks like the with it. Here's what I'm projecting. What I'm projecting is the if we leave tonight and the Dems have 50, if we get through tonight and the Dems end up with 50, and the Georgia race is still a runoff, that they still have to have a runoff, I don't know that Republicans will come out and vote for Herschel Walker if his seat is of no consequence. Because why would you want someone who's an imbecile in office if his vote is of no consequence? Like, make that make sense. So Patty Murray has been projected to win. I just heard that in my ear. Patty Murray is projected to win. That's good. Because remember, that was real close up to the last minute. She's the number two Democrat in the I'm sorry, in the Senate. I'm really looking at this Pennsylvania. Now here's the thing. They haven't called John Fetterman, but it's looking really good. I just heard in my ear. They say he's in the lead, which means that they're close to making a projection. Here's the thing. With all of these projections tonight, this is what you need to take into account. We talked about this for months and months and months and months. Some of these projections you still have to take with a grain of salt, especially if you have Dems that win, because the Republican Party has already told us that many of these people have said that no matter what happens, if they lose, they will not concede, and they are prepared to go to court. There are also laws put in place in certain states that allow the state legislature to certify an election regardless what the vote was, depending on the margin. Right, we announced that Harold, they did call Ted Bud over Cherry Beasley, so we did announce that. Um, Walker is another Republican vote. I understand that feel, but if you know that Walker is of no consequence and he's not going to give you the majority, I don't see the Republican turnout for a runoff that close for I don't see Republicans coming out in droves to vote for Walker in a runoff that's of no consequence. So um So here's some good news. Here's our good news of the night. Where am I? All right. Westmore in Maryland, third ever black person to ever be governor of a state in these yet to be United States. We applaud him. Um, we still have it's still very close in Wisconsin with Mandela Barnes. The young vote has come out, and we are we're looking forward to that. Fetterman is looking like he's going to take that. The blue wall has stood up, and what I mean by the blue wall, West Coast, all of those seats on the West Coast, they held their ground, and also the northeast the northeast corridor. It looks like many of those Senate seats that the Republicans thought that they would pick off have stayed. The Dems have held their own in that area. Places where uh, things didn't go the way we wanted. Cherry Beasley has lost, it looks like. Um, Florida has gone completely red. Completely red. So that means Governor Death Sentence one, Marco Rubio, will be returning. Governor Hot Wheels won against Beto O'Rourke. Sarah Huckabee Sanders won in Arkansas. Um, mm, Kathy Hochul won in New York. Letitia James won in New York. Um, um, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm listening to something. Okay, so we have a lot. Listen, it's going to be a very, very long night. This is going to go into tomorrow. Um, I guarantee you, no matter what is projected in Pennsylvania, Mehmet Oz is not going to concede by any stretch of the imagination. He will not. He will not. So in Nevada, I don't care what. Even if Ann Hobbs wins, which I don't believe she would, let's say Ann Hobbs win by 10 points. Carrie Lake has already said she would never concede. She would never concede. There was, can y'all put in the chat if anybody um, had any voting issues today? If you did vote today, did any of you have any voting issues around voting? Just want to know how that went for some of you all today. The margin for you have to get more than 50%. So you have to get higher than 50% for there to be a runoff in Georgia. And that third party candidate is probably going to take some points away, which will lead to a runoff. Our best hope is that the Dems have 50 without Georgia. If they have 50 without Georgia, that's great. A lot of it is going to come down to Pennsylvania, as well as us. Well, right now the Dems are at 46. So that's four. We're still waiting for them to call Arizona with Kelly. I feel like that's going to go. So that'll be great. Pennsylvania, I'm going to leave Pennsylvania and Wisconsin over here. What's the third one I'm looking at? So hold on. Um, Shoot, it was another race that was too close to call. I think it was Was it Colorado? Hold on. Let me look at my big board. Look at my big board. Hold on. Because there's about the Nevada seat. Thank you. Thank you. It's the Nevada seat. But we really need Wisconsin to fall for Mandela Barnes, and we need Pennsylvania. The Nevada seat, that's gonna be it'll be a while before that seat is decided. I already know that. Colorado, you're right. Colorado has already been called. Um, so let me see right now. Let me refresh my big board up here. Hold on. Refresh big board. All right. All right. So hold on. Poor Val Demons, I just heard concession speech. She's remained so humble, even into me. Yeah, she has. She absolutely has. Um, so, um, the races. Um, the races that we're looking at is New Hampshire. New Hampshire hasn't been called yet, but I feel like that'll go blue. So if New Hampshire, Arizona's going to go blue. I'm pretty sure of that now. New Hampshire, like I told you, the Northeast Corridor has held its own. Um, and so, yeah, I saw that Stacey has conceded. New Hampshire's going to hold its own, so that's good as well. So those two seats will go. I knew it was four races, so that leaves us with Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. I feel the strongest about Pennsylvania, so that'll fall. A lot's going to depend on Pennsylvania. I feel like that's going to go in blue. I'm concerned about Mandela Barnes, and I think that race is going to be really, really close. I don't know if that race will be decided tonight, but if Wisconsin goes blue and Pennsylvania goes blue, that to me will be the 50, which means that the Georgia race, and this is important, the Georgia race will be for 51, which means that that will cancel out at least one of the two Yahoos in the Senate, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. So we're holding out hope for Wisconsin to remain blue. I was hoping Cherry Beasley could have pulled that off, but they're calling that for they're calling that one for Ted Budd. But um, but I really want to see. But we're hoping that we're hoping for Mandela Barnes and Fetterman. Michigan. From what I was hearing, Michigan was pretty solid. Hold on. Um, hold on. All right, so let's see. Because from everything I was hearing, Michigan was pretty solid. Hold on, y'all. Let me, because this big board is not updated like I wanted to. Um, I don't know. Hold on. That says unpopular. Somebody just clicked to be a guest. Hold on. Let me see who that is. Let's see. Unpopular. How are you?
Hi, it's me, Feel Good from the chat. Nice to be on tonight. I'm a big political nerd, so I'm so excited.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad to have you. We are so happy. Hold on, let me put my overlay. We're so happy to have you back up. Well, I still have the silly Saturday. Oh, let me put a different background. There we go. What is going on? So, what do you have to say to us today, Phil?
So, I am a conservative, leftist, progressive Democrat. So, I'm
Wait,
all,
you just covered the full
yeah,
gamut of everything.
I am. I am. I really am. You know, I'm just as passionate about my housewives as I am about my politics.
Hmm.
I am sort of disappointed in the Democratic Party in this midterm election. I think they focus too much on election deniers and abortion, which are, hot topics. They didn't focus on the strengths of the Democratic Party or the weaknesses of the Republican Party. I feel that we need new blood in the Democratic Party. I feel like it's too old school. I think we need some young, fresh people to come through. I'm disappointed that it's this close in Georgia with Herschel Walker because he's a complete fool. I'm mad that we didn't show up for Stacey Abrams. I
You said
think,
you're not mad that they didn't show up for
oh,
Stacey
I'm
Abrams?
super mad.
Oh,
Super mad. I think Stacey Abrams is a star. I think she has it. I really think she's something special. And I think that the Democratic Party not investing in her and the people in Georgia not investing in Stacey Abrams, because I used to live in Georgia, is a real disappointment to me.
where do you live now?
I live in D.C.
Okay. Well, like I said, it, the Democrat, we on this channel, we have really chronicled and broke down the faults of the Democratic Party, how a lot of the things that the Democratic Party was doing was counterproductive to winning.
Very.
And if anything, it seemed at times that they were trying to lose. It really felt that way.
You know what? I'm going to say some controversial things that gives me the name unpopular opinion feel. Nancy got to go.
Oh, that's not unpopular over here.
Oh, okay,
We've
good.
been dragging Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn,
Oh,
even
yes.
my frat brother Hakeem Jeffries, who I love him to death, but he's aligned himself with the status quo in the Democratic Party. They are responsible for the diminution of all things left.
You know, I am holding out hope for Hakeem Jeffries. I want him to take a bigger role in
He's
the
not,
Democratic.
he's already acquiesced to them because he feels like they're going to cement him having a leadership role in the Democratic Party. So he is not going to cross them. He's not going to do anything that that goes against what they want. The problem with the Dems is, and we've chronicled this over. What's good, Jonathan? What's good, Fi? We've chronicled this over and over and over. The Democratic Party will support a Republican before they support a progressive. Now, I am a progressive, tried and true. I'm way off to the left. We have chronicled on this channel over and over and over. Right now, I think it's up to like $62 million, where the Democrats have spent over $62 million on Republican candidates than they have, instead of putting money to Democratic candidates. I told you they only spent a little over 700,000, less than $800,000 in the great state of Florida. So they conceded Florida. They conceded North Carolina, which is why Cherry Beasley didn't get the support that she needed, and she almost won. They conceded Ohio to being red and didn't put any money over there. Mandela Barnes didn't start getting money until very late.
So, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go. I'm sorry. You can continue. I'm sorry.
No, what I was saying was they always are counterproductive. Now it looks like, remember Henry Cuellar, who we talked about in the great state of Texas. It looks like he's going to carry that seat in southern Texas, but that is after the Democratic Party put money into his campaign. He calls himself a Democrat, but he's pro-gun. He's also pro-life, and he oftentimes he votes with the Republicans, but he calls himself a Democrat. But they
So,
supported him instead of Jessica Cisneros. We talked about what happened up there in Buffalo, New York, with our girl India Walton. And there are countless numbers of times where this happens over and over and over because someone is progressive. The Dems will support the Republican side or a candidate who is way far conservative but calling themselves Democrat. It's a mess.
So okay, so I have a problem with some of the progressive girls. Ocasio Cortez, I was excited for her. Sometimes I think she does a little too much for me personally. I do agree with you. I think they played with fire. The Democratic Party was hoping that this election denial in January 6th was going to catch fire, and it didn't. And I don't know, why did they think it was going to hold fire? I definitely think that Val Demings and Cheryl Beasley were two very strong competitive people to run for Senate. I think that I want us to focus in on Florida more. I want the Democratic Party to focus on Florida. I think places like Tallahassee and Miami, we can get Florida. I really do believe we can get Florida. They need to invest more in Florida.
What I'm going to say about, and we broke down Florida in the first 20 minutes. I think we had a chance this time in Florida, but now with
I
how they
love
have
Val.
gerrymandered districts in Florida, that the whole Tampa Bay corridor, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County have all been gerrymandered, where that was a blue stronghold is no longer a blue stronghold. They've done the same in parts of Palm Beach County. They've done the same in parts of Tallahassee, but Tallahassee can still hold its own. They've also done that in parts of Duval County over in Jacksonville area. So there was a time before Governor Death Sentence gerrymandered the state where it could have been, but now I think it's going to be a very long time before Florida is flipped again because of the way that the districting map has been drawn out. Somebody's going to have to, the ACLU or somebody's going to have to go in and take that all the way to the Supreme Court, like they had to with the South Carolina gerrymandering, where they or was that North Carolina? One of the Carolinas a couple of years ago, I think it was North Carolina, where it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court talked about how they had gone in with diamond-like precision and carved out individual areas that were blue and made them red. And it goes against the Constitution. And I'll let you after this. The reason it's unconstitutional is because the true language of the Constitution, what it says is, if your electorate in your state, I'm just going to say, is 40% Dem, 60% Republican, right? How then is your voting map drawn out so now that the vote will end up being 80% Republican and 20% Democrat, or worse, in some cases, 90% Republican, 10% Democrat when you look at the state? That's not how this thing was set up to be, but that's the type of gerrymandering that we have that's going on?
I think that the Democratic Party needs to be more aggressive. The one thing I would give the Republican Party is that they're aggressive with their stuff. The Democratic Party tends to, pussyfoot around. And I'm also going to say something, and I hope I don't get you in trouble, and I'm not trying to cause any issues. The one part of the Democratic Party that we're losing significantly that is not being talked about is the Latino vote. Those Cubans in Miami.
But the Cubans in Miami, well, let me say this, being from Miami, born and raised, the Cubans in Miami were never Democratic.
True, yes.
The Puerto Ricans in Orlando or in the I-4 corridor what happened was the Cubans in Miami, people got disillusioned because Obama pulled Cuban votes.
Yes.
But here's the other thing. The demographics, you're welcome, Really B. The demographics of Miami-Dade County has changed as well. Miami-Dade County was always heavily Hispanic, but the Hispanic vote was around a 50%, between 50 and 55% for a very long time. So you still have a lot of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans in Miami that can pull from that Cuban vote, so that if need, and you have some Cubans that are still swing voters as well. So Miami-Dade County doesn't go red, would still stay blue. Not as blue as Broward County, but still be blue enough to carry a Dem by a large margin.
Okay.
Now that the demographics have changed, the Hispanic vote is almost 70%. It's like 68, 69% Hispanic now in Miami. And of that 68, 69%, you have close to 57, 58% that's Cuban. So just their vote alone is enough to dwarf any other demographic. And it didn't help that Marco Rubio is a Cuban from Miami.
I want the Caribbean vote to be heard in Miami, more like the Haitian, Jamaican, Trinidad.
I got a newsflash for you. When you talk to older Jamaicans and even some older Bahamians, not as much Bahamians, but certainly the Jamaicans, many of them are Republican.
Oh, wow.
Younger Jamaicans are blue, but a lot of those older Jamaicans, they are quick to vote Republican.
Oh, wow. And you know what? That is a good segue into something else. Educated Black men are more Republican than we think. And now a lot more educated Black women are turning Republican as well. And I mean, we really need to discuss that. I think the issue with a lot of us as African American Democrats is that we're so fickle, is that we don't hold steady when we need to. I think when gas prices go up, it was so many people I heard, well, we need Donald Trump back. We need Donald Trump back. He gave us a check. He gave us a check. I said, first of all, he gave you one check and he didn't want to do that. The Democrats gave you the second check. I just think that we just need, I want young blood. I think we need some young, dynamic blood.
Here's the deal. To me, it's imbecilic when people say that, because that would be akin to me saying to you, oh, I'll give you $250 today if you give me your whole paycheck at the end of the week.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because you have a Republican Party that has already said they're coming after Social Security. They've already said that. They've already made that a point. They're coming after Social Security. You have a Republican Party that wants to come after Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, I should say. They're coming for it.
But you know what? Can I cut you off for 1 second?
And here's what I have to say to my fellow members of the Rainbow Push Coalition, of the Rainbow Coalition. Those of us who sit at the Rainbow Coalition compound. You have a Republican Party that already has laws. Lawsuits in courts to put sodomy laws back on the books. You already have a Republican Party that have written laws that are going through state legislatures that will take away um, insurance companies paying for things like PrEP or HIV medication.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? What we've been talking about Obamacare for so many years. Republicans love to say they have an alternative. Have you heard that alternative yet? Because I'm still waiting to hear it.
They're not trying to have one.
Exactly. I need as many people who buy Jordans and who go to the club to get out and vote and get involved. It's so much at stake, and these midterm elections are so important. I'm just so disappointed that Walker is even competitive at this point. It's ridiculous. It is really sad. I'm hoping that we still hold the Senate. It's still a majority or an even split in the Senate, or we gain a seat or two in the Senate. But you know who is dangerous? The House is going to be dangerous. Kevin McCarthy is about to start so much foolishness.
Is even if the House flips, if the Dems can hold their own in the Senate, if the Dems can keep the Senate, the House, Mike McCarthy knows no legislation can go through, can come out of the House that is not going to go. It won't go through the Senate. It won't make it in the Senate. So they'll be at impasse and stalemate, and in Congress will be at gridlock. Now, so Congress will be at gridlock.
It's going to be gridlock, but they're already talking about all of these investigations and all of this foolishness, and that is the part that's really going to hold up progress. Is that I'm with Joe when he said they're going to try to do an impeachment. They are definitely going to do an impeachment. They're coming for his son. I hope he has gotten ready. They're coming for his son. You know what else I see? I see another, oh my God, the word escapes me. When the government shuts down, I see another government shutdown because they're not going to agree on anything. I see another shutdown coming. I see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene on major committees where she shouldn't be.
I really hope Lauren Boebert loses this seat to Adam Frisch. That will give me a lot of joy tonight.
She's an idiot. I don't know why did they even vote for her anyway. She is a numbskull. That's an unintelligent woman. I'm really hoping that Mandela Barnes can really pull this off. That would be so great. I'm hoping that Warnock and them, I think they're going to end up going to the runoff because that independent is getting votes. So I think they're definitely going to a runoff.
For those people asking about Michigan, Governor Whitmer is in the lead from what I am seeing. I'm not afraid. I'm not worried about Governor Whitmer. I'm pretty sure she'll hold Michigan. I'm really not concerned about her.
I'm scared for Nevada.
In Nevada,
yeah,
it's way too early. I mean, Hobbs is up, but it's
that's Arizona.
In Arizona, the Senate seat.
No. I'm saying for Nevada, the Senate seat, Catherine Martez.
Oh, the Senate seat in Nevada. Hold on, let me get that information.
Yeah, I think I'm worried for her. That's going to be a very close race.
All right, the Senate seat in Nevada, I'm not seeing any results in yet.
Okay, I think it's just turning 8:00 now in like 5 minutes. Or is it 8:00 or like 7:00 there right now?
It's about to be 9:00 there.
Okay.
It's 8:55 in Nevada.
Okay. Yeah, but I want the next 2 years I really want some young guns to come up in the Democratic Party. The governors are old. The representatives are old. The
I
senators
will
are
say
old.
what the Dems did do, they did flip several governors' mansions. They
Well,
did.
you mentioned Westmore out here in Maryland, and I'm sure Really B, hey, Really B TV, I love you. I'm pretty sure she can tell you we only got Maryland because Larry Hogan was unable to run this time because he is they love him out here in Maryland.
Well, my best friend stays in Maryland, and
Okay.
he was telling me he only voted for Ben Jealous, because Ben Jealous is our frat brother, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like, I'm gonna vote for him, but he was like, I really do like Larry Hogan. He said a lot of Democrats did.
If Larry Hogan can be a good
Mhm.
Republican president, he really can be. DeSantis is going to be interesting to see DeSantis versus Trump, or if DeSantis will
Here's
be
what
the
it's
vice
looking like.
president.
What it's looking like is Trump's going to run. He's already announced his ego won't let him not run,
Oh yeah, he's running.
but death sentence is looking really, really good to the Republicans. And a lot of Republicans that were not back for Trump, by Trump,
Mm-hmm.
are still doing well.
Right, and I think that the overall they like DeSantis more than Trump.
Well, Trump is a caricature, whereas DeSantis can actually be a politician.
Okay. Well, who do we think?
DeSantis is just as dangerous,
uh, Even more so?
but the thing that makes him even more dangerous is he can maneuver
Yeah.
politically.
I think the next person who really has it in the Democratic Party is Gavin Newsom, but he doesn't have the popularity to get some of those Republican votes. That's my only thing with Gavin
Um,
Newsom.
I don't think that Gavin Newsom, only, and not that he's not that he's not a great politician, but just having the California attached to you
Mm-hmm.
is going to be a negative, because there's a large part of the country that's going to say the fact that you're from California, we want no parts of you.
Really,
But
you
they
believe
just feel like
so?
California is way too liberal for them. So a
Okay.
lot of swing voters or independents would want no parts of them.
Well, then who else do we have in the Democratic Party?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Um, the problem is going to be Biden might let his ego get in the way and decide to run again. And if he does, all of the Dems are going to acquiesce to him. They will coalesce around him and acquiesce to his demands. People are, I'm just telling you names. I'm not saying these people are viable candidates. I'm just telling you names that people like to put out there. One name that people love to put out there is Pete Buttigieg.
Oh no. Uh-uh.
Oh, they love that name. They love his name.
Oh no. You know what? I thought Pete held his own a little bit, but we're not ready for Pete. Give me another name. Mm-mm. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not taking up too much of your time.
No, you're not. No, you're not. We're here. We're here for the electric. I'm seeing people say Josh Shapiro, the governor. becoming. Well, let's see. Carrie, I'm glad you said that. That's going to be probably our best bet. Our best bet is going to be a Democratic governor that rises to the top. And I think it's going to be somebody who we're not talking about right now. So it could very well be Shapiro. I'm trying to think of other well noted Republican governors. Um, Now I'm going to tell you who will be in play now. Westmore, because he won, becomes in play, not for the top of the ticket, but for a running mate.
What? So Westmore does his name is gonna be popular, but we need to
Because they
see.
feel like he'll carry the black vote, and they feel like he'll fall in line.
I want to see how he does first. I do agree with you, but I want to see how he does as Maryland governor. This is his first time being elected, so I'm. Let's see how he do before we put him on the ticket.
Jonathan Trump said he was going to announce on the 15th. Hell, you know how crazy he is. He might announce tomorrow. Hell, he might announce in the next 5 minutes. Who the hell knows? And you want to know why he might announce in the next 5 minutes? Because he hates the fact that Governor Death Sentence is taking a victory lap. And it's getting a whole lot of press
Mhm.
right now. And that just eats him up.
And you know what? That is
I
going
was
to be
looking at that. I'm sorry. I was looking at that gubernatorial. I was just literally looking at that governor's race in Kansas. Hold on, let me get that information for you. Hold on.
Oh, I
So
have it.
right now in Kansas, it is still
Kelly got 50%.
Kelly has 50% and Derek Schmidt has 47%.
Yeah. So I wanted to. It's going to be funny to see death sentence and Trump because they're both going to be trying to represent Florida. So the girls are going to be fighting.
Oh yeah. hmm hmm
Yeah,
I really, I really feel like based on the trends that we see tonight, I think that this is going to polarize the party even more. The party at this point was Trump leaning, hard Trump leaning, but with the fact that they were still hard Trump leanings and the Dems didn't do as bad as they projected, that's going to make a lot of people who were Trump leaning lean more toward the other side. And so
mm,
that's going to create a bigger schism within the Republican Party. I'm really interested to see um, how that pans out. But yeah, that race is looking very interesting, Bap in Kansas.
yeah. I'm hoping that Pennsylvania goes for Fetterman. I know a lot of people have their worries, but you know what else I noticed? That at Oz campaigns, there were a lot of black people there. I was shocked to see so many black people at with Oz.
Um, I was just listening. They just projected Minnesota governor's race for wins, so it stayed blue. Um, and the Hawaii Senate seat stayed blue, but we weren't worried about that. Like I said, New Hampshire, um, they haven't called it on some areas, but some areas have called New Hampshire for that New Hampshire Senate seat. Um, where am I at? Yeah, New Hampshire. I'm saying it's called for Maggie Hassan. Some areas said they haven't called yet, but that's going to go to Hassan. Um, Secretary of State of Michigan did win re-election. Um, re-election. Yeah, Waltz in Minnesota has won. Um, Vermont stayed blue. They were counting on New Hampshire and Vermont flipping, and both of them stayed blue, which is good. That seat in Connecticut, of course, we weren't worried about that staying blue. They were really banking on um, that Vermont and New Hampshire seats staying blue, and the Northeast corridor held its own, which is good. Um, Patty Murray, they've called that for her. So the West Gate stayed blue as well. The Western Wall stayed blue as well. Um,
I'm online and I'm reading people are on Twitter are upset that Greg Abbott won the Texas.
Listen, Governor Hot Wheels. I mean, it's Texas. They had remember before we talked about the Florida gerrymandering, we talked about the Texas gerrymandering, and we talked about a lot of we talked about that on the politics of it all. I want to say that was June or July. We talked about how a lot of areas that were blue, they had carved it out and made it purple. And what Governor Death Sentence did, he saw what they did in Texas and took that and modeled that for what he did in Florida. Only he made his more red than even Texas did. Like the Republican Party made a statement and said after 2020, they were not going to have that go down again.
Yeah,
And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we went out and vote. We went out and did what we needed to do." But a lot of people have forgotten that maybe they didn't last time, or people didn't come out as they should have in prior elections. And when y'all put these people in seats back in 2018, because that was a midterm election and y'all didn't think it was important to vote because it wasn't a presidential election, these people were in positions of power. So when we had the census in 2020 and more seats were allotted to certain areas and redistricting happened after the census, it was too late. And so that's why I said Florida is going to be a very long time because there's not going to be another redistricting in Florida until 2030, till after the next census.
Yeah, I'm hoping Texas will come around to purple. I think Texas is going to need a very strong candidate. I think Texas may have it eventually. I do. Don't shake your head. No,
I
I
just
do.
don't see, and I'm not saying that there are Democratic voters there because there are, but with the way that they have surgically carved out these districting maps, it's going to be hard because even if you get, for example, if I have a circle, right? You got a circle, and that circle is blue, and everything outside of the circle is red. If I carve out that circle starting in the middle, it will make that whole blue go away because everything that's in that little chunk of blue now has to be mixed in with the rest of that red and it washes away the blue. And that's literally what they have done in states like Texas, in states like Florida, which could potentially turn. But now with the redistricting, it's hard.
Well, even with the redistricting, you know the word I'm trying to say. I can't get it out. It's late. We can still get the governor's mansion. We can still get the Senate seats.
Yes, that is possible.
That's why I'm hoping for a strong Texas candidate to come out. One race you mentioned earlier that I didn't have much faith in, but I thought he did a really good job was Ohio. I didn't have much faith in Ohio, period.
Well, he did really well. The Dems didn't put any money behind him.
Well,
So
because he turned away from Biden. He said, hey, don't come here. I'm trying to move more. I'm trying to move right, but just not right with Biden. But he ran a very good race. I think I think he's a strong contender upcoming. I really do think he's a strong contender to make some major moves in American politics. He ran a really good race, and he's young. I think that they need to just cultivate these young representatives and things like
the
that.
establishment Dems want no parts of giving up seats. Some of these bastards would die in the goddamn seat. Jim Clyburn should have been out of the fucking House of Representatives years ago, but he doesn't want to concede and give that spot up to anybody younger. The fact that
Auntie
there's so
Maxine needs
many
to go
areas,
too.
there's so many areas where Democrats could be competitive and they just concede them to the right. I'll give you a perfect state, South Carolina. South Carolina can actually be competitive. Jamie Harrison taught us that
Oh
when
yeah,
he ran against um
Lindsey
Lady
Graham.
G.
Not Lady G. That was a funny story when I heard that one.
So I mean, while Lady G was over there snorting lines of coke off of male escorts' erect penises and having them simultaneously count her warts and skin tags, ladybugs from her taint. God of mercy, God of love. He almost lost, which means that South Carolina absolutely is in play. But you had this black woman, Crystal Matthews, that was running against Tim Scott. Tim Scott is
Annoys me.
beatable, but they didn't want to put any money behind Crystal Matthews because they just conceded, oh, it's South Carolina. We're not going to put any money behind it.
I think okay. I think with South Carolina, I think Tim Scott's an idiot. That is one man that annoys me so bad. I think South Carolina to get it, I don't see some of those people voting for a black woman.
Well, that's what they said. They said they couldn't see that, so they weren't even going
Yeah,
to.
I could. Yeah, I definitely don't. Um, I don't know. I'm just really hoping for young blood to come into the Democratic
It's going to be
Party.
a while. Now, Nancy Pelosi, now that it looks like she's not probably going to return to the speakership. Who's next? If they should ever get the House back, who's next? Who's going to be House Minority Leader?
Oh,
Here's the question, and that's going to tell you how serious they are. Who are they going to have as their House Minority Leader?
I'm gonna
I
say a
think
name.
Jeffrey seems to think that he's the heir apparent. I don't know the
That's
fuck
who I'm
out.
gonna say. He's like the number 4 person.
He is.
I don't see Clyburn because when he talks, I just cringe just a little bit. Steny Hoyer isn't strong enough. Yeah, yeah. I thought Hakeem was gonna put forth
Tracy,
more.
don't get me started on this whore for Miller Jayapal. You know I hate the fact that they have her as the goddamn as the uh as the head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus.
Wait, you don't like Jayapal?
Jayapal, she's weak. She is weak.
Who would you
People
put
have
there
problems with
then?
AOC, but we need an AOC. Just like the Dems have their crazies way hanging off the right side, we need to meet them with the equal amount of energy on the left side.
AOC can do a lot. I just think that she has to realize that you're going to need the backing of the establishment just a little bit.
But no. You're missing my point. My point, because at the end of the day, AOC and the squad, they will fall in line. They absolutely will fall in line, and they all always do. But you need the squad and people like AOC who are screaming from the rooftops, who are way, way, way left to balance off the fact that the majority of the Republican Party have gone equally to the far right. We don't even, I don't think we have enough people that are way out there left, because the Republicans have way more of them that are way far right.
I like the brother from New York. What's his name? That's in the squad.
Bowman, Jamal
Yes,
Bowman.
I do like him. I like him. Who else?
So they still haven't called Arizona, but that's looking good. That's looking good. Nevada, will be here till Friday trying to figure out Nevada. I have no idea how that's gonna go. Um, and I'm just looking at the Senate right now. I still don't have any results in for Nevada. I still have no results in for Nevada.
Earlier you were mentioning, I hope we could get Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, because you said it earlier, you can't count on Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. You can't count on them. Those two gotta go.
Yeah, they're not going to call it back. Right now, Georgia, I see, has about 92% of the vote in. Walker is up 49.2% to 49.1%. So they're not going to call that. So yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking at some results. So that's, yeah, right now. Hold on. I'm sorry, I was listening to some stuff. Um, I said at the beginning, I have literally three channels playing in my ear. Three. I'm listening to three channels and their commentary in my ear and still paying attention to the chat and talking to y'all. We're doing all the heavy lifting tonight. Heavy lifting tonight. Um, so yeah. Like I projected earlier, I think the Republicans will eke out the House. I feel like when the dust settles, which probably won't be until Friday or Saturday, the Dems will get to 50. I'm hoping we'll get to 50, and that Georgia runoff will be for 51. That's what I'm hoping. Um, um, it says a lot about America that this Georgia race is competitive. It really says a lot about us. But if we ain't know we wasn't shit. The 2016 presidential election showed us we were stupid and we ain't shit. But who am I? Anybody need me to check on a race while I have my big board up? Anybody? Nobody? Um, so y'all, this is gonna go well into the night and into the morning. Phil, you still
Yes,
there?
I'm
Oh,
here.
I was making sure you still there.
I'm here. No, I was I'm sorry, I was reading something. They were talking about some more races. I was looking at this Pennsylvania race. I hope Oz doesn't win. Fetterman still has the lead.
Tracy, from what I am seeing, I would be surprised if um, Utah's gonna go red. I'm pretty sure of that. So I'm not looking toward Utah. The Wisconsin is still very close. Wisconsin is still very close. Um, Mike Kelly is still close, but that'll go. That'll go for that'll go blue. The close races, the races that we're looking at is Ron Johnson and versus Mandela Bars of Wisconsin. Um, um, so Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania. What else I'm missing?
Georgia.
Wisconsin, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. Those are the five. The rest of them, they'll go chalk. Those are going to be chalk. Utah's going to be chalk. Um, so I'm not even considering Utah. Safe to say that we won't be. No, we won't be getting Georgia tonight. You will not be getting Georgia tonight. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think I just heard about an hour ago that they had stopped counting in many of the counties. Some of the counties they had stopped counting, and they said they were going to pick back up tomorrow. But if you remember in 2020, the same thing happened in 2020. We didn't know until Friday. Did they call North Carolina? Yes, they called North Carolina for Bud, for Ted Bud. They did call it. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was listening to something. So yes, they call Beasley. I was looking at something. I was trying to track that Bobert race, and let's see something. That is somewhere, Colorado. Where's the Bobert race? Or is that Arizona?
I thought Bobert was like Dakota.
Mm-mm. Bobert is in Four Squares. Um, Bobert is in the Four Squares. She's in Colorado. Yeah, I was right. She's in Colorado. Um, hold on, let me pull this up. Pull this up. U.S. House, Colorado. She's in Colorado, and right now, why is it? Oh, so right now, Adam Frisch is still up. He is on Lauren Boebert. He's up by 3.2 points, with about 80% of the vote in, which is good. Yeah, it's gonna take a minute for Pennsylvania. I don't. Georgia will not be called tonight. Pennsylvania will not be called tonight. Um, Arizona, they're not going to call Arizona tonight. Like I said, I'm of no belief that Arizona won't stay blue with Mike Kelly, but Arizona won't be called tonight. Nevada certainly won't be called tonight. So those four will not be called tonight. The one that may be called tonight is Wisconsin. So Mark, do I want to say Mike Kelly? Mark Kelly. Um, that's what I'm afraid of, the Wisconsin vote. But we'll see. Listen, I'm about to get out of here because I was off today. I was off today, but I'm not off tomorrow. I was off today for voting, but I will not be off tomorrow. So I got to get up tomorrow and have meetings. Listen, y'all. Feel free to email me your questions or DM me your questions, concerns, anything you'd like me to discuss. I am going to try and get some of my other political commentators and pundits Tabitha, Tabitha Speaks and really being some other people to come up and talk politics and break down. We will be having Silly Saturday. I was supposed to travel down to Florida, but because of the hurricane, I had to cancel my trip because of the hurricane. So I will not be traveling to Florida this weekend, as I was. So that means we can't do Silly Saturday. That actually means I'll be in town. I know Really B is coming in town. I need to call her. She's coming in town with Scotty and everybody. And since I'm not going anywhere, I might be able to just hang out with them. Y'all see I was here doing all of the heavy lifting tonight, making it happen, giving you as much as I could. We will wake up in the morning and there'll still be a lot of things pending. If you want to support the channel, Tracy, can you put my cash app up for those people who want to support the channel? It's down here beneath me. All of my information is down here in this box beneath me. You can email me, DM me, follow me, like the video, share it out, subscribe to the channel, do all of the things. Not that she looking like Sarah Palin. Carrie Lake is a clown. She's a whole ass clown. But we'll see. I'm scared if she becomes governor. I'm very afraid. There are talks about her being a running mate for Donald Trump. There are talks about that. That'd be real scary. But whatever. Thank you so much, Tracy. That's my cash app for people who want it. Listen, Phil, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you for subscribing. Are you still there, Phil?
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I dozed off for a
I'm
second.
sorry. Yeah.
No.
We're about to get out, but thank you for coming up. Thank you for
No,
subscribing.
thank you. I'm going to be a new subscriber. I love politics. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in, and I got a lot of opinions. So I'll be in the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much. But y'all, thank you so much, Phil. Thank you all for being here, rocking with me, staying up late. I'm not going to bed right now, but I will be watching for a little while. So what I do want to do, because I know a lot of these races are going to take some time. So I do want to watch and pay attention to things, make some calls, send some emails, all of that stuff, and eventually get some sleep before I have to get up and go to work in the morning. But anyway, so yes. As why have I been having a problem still when I normally say people As I always say, I love y'all. I love on y'all. Thank you all for being vocal, present, and active. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for any and all contributions that you make to the channel. They are much obliged. They're much appreciated. I'm so grateful for y'all for rocking with me. This is what we do over here. We do politics. We talk about things. People wanted to talk a long time about a whole lot of other stuff that was nonsensical, that doesn't make any um that doesn't affect your life and livelihood at all. But this kind of stuff does touch you intimately and personally and does affect your life. As I stated over and over and over, this election, as well as the one in 2024, we are voting on existential threats to our freedoms and our democracies. And we have to be vigilant no matter what happens, no matter how dreary and dim and gloom and doom it seems. We cannot become weary and doing. We cannot become apathetic because that's what they want. Thank you all so much. Shondo to everybody in the chat. Shondo's in and around the chat. Love y'all for rocking with me. We will be back tomorrow in some form or fashion. Even if I have to carve out a little time in the day tomorrow, we will be back. We'll discuss more of the election coverage and aftermath tomorrow. Between tomorrow and Thursday, I'm going to try to see if I can get the gang together to talk about more politics. That's all I got for y'all. Got to watch some more coverage. Until next time, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. We out of here.